Welcome to Real World Peaceful Parenting, a podcast for parents that are tired of yelling, threatening, and punishing their kids. Join mom and master certified parent coach Lisa Smith as she gives you actionable, step-by-step strategies that'll help you transform your household from chaos to cooperation. Let's dive in.
Welcome to today's episode. I am so thrilled to be with you here today. And you know what question I hear more than almost any other? Lisa, my kid is perfect at school. Their teachers report that they're cooperative, respectful, and a joy to have in class. Their coach says they listen so well. Their friends' parents tell me how kind and polite they are. But at home with me, they say their absolute worst behavior. The whining, the arguing, the meltdowns, the attitude, the complete refusal to cooperate. What am I doing wrong? Can you relate? Do you have the same question as well? Do you feel like I have a camera in your house right now? Well, here's what I want you to hear right at the beginning of this episode before I explain anything else. You are not doing anything wrong. In fact, the opposite is true. Your kid acting their worst with you, specifically with you, that's actually a sign you're doing something very, very right. Now, I know this might sound backwards, and I know it doesn't feel that way when you're standing in your kitchen at 6 p.m. and your kid is melting down over something small while you're thinking, they wouldn't act this way at school. But today, I'm going to explain the psychology and the neuroscience behind why your kid saves their hardest moments for their safest person. And by the end of this episode, you're going to actually see your kids testing in a completely different light. Sound good? Okay. This is episode 2 of our January boundary series. And last week, we talked about repair, how to make things right when you mess up. This week, we're talking about why boundaries can feel really hard at home specifically. So let's dive in. Let me paint a picture for you that might sound familiar. It's Tuesday afternoon, you're on a Zoom call for work, and your phone buzzes, and it's a text from your kid's teacher. Just wanted to let you know that Christian had a great day today. They helped with cleanup without being asked, and they were so patient with a classmate who was struggling. What a kind kid you're raising. Your heart swells, and you feel so proud. Okay, now fast forward 3 hours. Your kid's home from school. Maybe you picked him up and you've driven home, and you ask your kid to put their backpack away. And they ignore you and run off. And you ask again calmly, and they say, I don't want to. And you're standing there thinking, the teacher literally just told me how helpful and patient you were. Where is that kid? Or maybe it's this scenario. Your kid spends the night at a friend's house, and the next morning the mom texts you. Your daughter was such a delight, so polite and well-mannered. But then you pick her up and you get in the car and you ask her how her night was. And she immediately starts whining and yelling at you. And you're baffled. You were so good for Emma's mom. Why can't you be like that with me? Or maybe you experienced this one. The soccer coach pulls you aside and says, your son has great sportsmanship, really listens to feedback. Your kid's a pleasure to coach. But at home, you ask him to do one simple chore, and it turns into World War III. If you relate to one, two, or all of these, here's what you may start to believe. I, the parent, am doing something wrong. Other adults bring out the best in my kid, and I get the worst. I must be failing somehow. And that belief, it sits in your chest like a rock. Every time you see your kid cooperate beautifully for someone else, it reinforces the story that they can behave, they just won't behave for me. And maybe you start wondering, am I too soft? Am I too strict? Do they not respect me? Am I not firm enough? Have I damaged the relationship somehow? And the guilt piles on top of the confusion. Can you relate? Is this you? Okay, if so, here's what I need you to hear. What you're interpreting as failure is actually the opposite. Your child acting their, let's say, absolute worst with you, that's not a sign you're doing something wrong. It's a sign you're their safe person. Let me explain the neuroscience behind this. Here's what's actually happening when your child is perfect everywhere else, but falls apart for you. At school, at their friend's house, at practice, your child's nervous system is in what I call performance mode. Their brain is working hard to regulate their emotions, monitor their behavior, manage social dynamics, follow rules from adults who aren't their primary attachment figures, hold it together in an environment where they don't feel safe to fall apart. Think about what your kid's brain is doing all day at school. It could be that they're sitting still when their bodies want to move. It could be that they're staying quiet when they have big feelings. It could be that they're managing peer relationships and social dynamics that may be challenging. It could be that they're following instructions from adults they don't have a secure attachment to. It could be that they're holding in their frustrations, disappointments, and overwhelm. And this takes a massive amount of emotional energy and self-regulation. And here's what research shows us. When kids are in environments where they don't have a secure attachment figure, that's you, their cortisol levels, which is the stress hormone, are elevated. Research shows us this. Their nervous system is in a low-level state of vigilance, not full danger, full the amygdala is firing, but definitely not relaxed. A low-level state of vigilance based on performance mode. And then they come home to you. And their nervous system recognizes that you're safe, that you're their person, and they can finally let go. So their cortisol drops, and their nervous system shifts from performance mode to safe mode. And in safe mode, all those big feelings that they've been holding in all day, they come pouring out. The whining, the meltdown, the testing, the attitude. It's not defiance, it's decompression. I need you to hear that. It's not defiance, it's decompression. Your kid has been holding it together all day. And when they get to you, their nervous system finally relaxes enough to release all that built up emotional tension. Think about it in your own life. Where do you fall apart? With your best friend? With your partner? With your mom? With your therapist? With your confidant? It's probably not your boss, right? Or your peers. You hold it together at work all day. You're professional, you're polished. But when you get home to the people who feel the safest, that's when you let yourself have the meltdown about the stressful day, right? Can you see that? And your kid is doing the same thing. Dr. Alan Shore, one of the leading research on attachment and neuroscience, talks about how the parent-child relationship actually shapes the development of a kid's nervous system. When a kid has a secure attachment to their caregiver, that relationship becomes the place where they can regulate. They know when I'm with my safe person, I can have my big feelings because that person can handle me and they won't reject me for being messy. And that's what you've built with your kid, whether you realize it or not. Now, let me tell you a Malcolm story that really illustrates this. When Malcolm was in second grade, I got a call from a teacher asking if we could meet. And my stomach dropped, and I thought, oh no, what happened? We sat down for the meeting, and she said to me, I just want to tell you what a pleasure Malcolm is to have in class. He's helpful, he's kind to other students, and he follows directions beautifully. And at the time, I was relieved, because who doesn't want to hear that? But if I'm honest with you, I was also a little confused. Because at home, Malcolm was testing me constantly, pushing back on everything, and having meltdowns over the smallest of things. I said to the teacher, that's so good to hear. He's a little different at home. And his second grade teacher was a wonderful woman. She had been teaching for a really long time. And she smiled at me and she said, "Of course he is. That means you're his safe place. He knows that he can fall apart with you and you'll still be there." I had never thought about it this way. And it really changed my perspective and how I saw my kid and the work that I was doing. She continued with, "The kids who are perfect at home and at school, those are the ones I worry about because they don't have anywhere that feels safe enough to let go." And again, this conversation changed everything for me. Malcolm acting out at home was no longer a sign that I was failing. It was a sign he trusted me enough to be his full, difficult, messy self. And that, my real world peaceful parent, is secure attachment. Now, it doesn't mean that we don't work on the difficult, messy self. We don't offer co-regulation, that we don't help them regulate sooner and faster and recognize the big, messy feelings that they're having and the big, messy actions they're displaying as a result of the big, messy feelings. And that is secure attachment. Okay, so now that you understand the neuroscience, your child decompresses with you because you're safe. Let's talk about what testing behavior is actually asking. Because understanding the question behind the behavior changes how you respond. When your kid tests boundaries, pushes back, or has a meltdown with you, they're asking 4 fundamental questions. And these are important. Question number 1, are you still here and are you steady? Your kid's testing is checking in on, if I'm difficult, will you still love me? If I push back, will you reject me? Is your love conditional on my good behavior? This is especially true if they've been good all day at school. They're subconsciously wondering, do you only love the well-behaved version of me? I want to take a quick pause and invite you to something really special. If you're parenting a strong-willed kid, then you know this cycle. Things escalate. You say more than you want to. There's a power struggle. And later you're left wondering, why is this still so hard? Well, here's the truth. You're not broken. You just need better tools. And I've got just the solution for you. On January 6th at 9 a.m. Pacific, 10 Mountain, 11 Central, and 12 p.m. Eastern Time, I'm teaching a free live class called Discipline Without Damage for parents of strong-willed kids ages 2 to 18. You'll learn in this class why consequences aren't working and what does work instead. So if you're ready for this year to feel different, then go right now to thepeacefulparent.com/class to save your spot. Once again, that's thepeacefulparent.com/class to save your spot. And now back to the episode. When they test you, they're actually asking, can I trust that you're still my safe person, even when I'm hard to be around? Question 2, they're asking, and this one's really important. It's, can you handle my biggest feelings? At school, your kid has to manage their emotions all day. They can't have a meltdown about the math worksheet that's too hard. They can't cry when a friend is mean to them at recess. They can't yell when they feel frustrated, especially in 2026. So they come home, and all of those big feelings get stored up during the day in an invisible emotional backpack. And the truth is, they need to go somewhere. Testing is your kid's way of asking, can you handle the full weight of my emotional world, or am I too much? And am I too much for you? Question number 3 they're asking with their behavior is, are the rules really the rules? Now, this one surprises a lot of parents, but children's nervous systems actually crave consistency and structure. Testing boundaries isn't always about wanting you to say yes. It's often about checking, Are the boundaries still there where they were yesterday? And can you hold steady? And can I count on them being there tomorrow? Solid, consistent boundaries create safety. Your kid's testing is checking, is the structure solid? Can I trust the framework you've built? And question number 4, will you still guide me even when I'm hard to love? When your kid is at their most difficult, whining, argumentative, and pushing every button, they're asking, will you still be my calm, steady leader? Will you still hold the boundaries? Or will you either give up on me or get so angry that I feel unsafe? They need to know, even when I'm at my worst self, you're going to be the calm, steady adult that I need. Yeah? Let me share a story from one of our Hive members that really illustrates this. Jennifer has an 8-year-old son, and she joined the Hive feeling completely defeated. She asked for coaching and support one day, and she said to me, Lisa, my son is so good at school. The teacher raves about him. But at home, he argues about everything. Everything, Lisa. Homework, bedtime, what's for dinner, whether he can have screen time. And frankly, I'm exhausted. I asked her, do you think he's being manipulative? She thought about it for a minute and said, honestly, yes. I think he can behave, but he chooses not to with me. So we got to work on her reframing how she sees the situation. I asked her, what if his behavior at home wasn't manipulation? What if it was trust? What if he spent all day at school regulating his emotions? Like it's the equivalent of holding a beach ball down underwater, following rules, managing peer dynamics. And when he got home to her, he finally felt safe enough to let go of the beach ball and let it come to the surface. 2 weeks later, Jennifer jumped on a Hive call, and she shared this almost in tears. Lisa, I worked on the reframe. This week when he came home from school and started arguing about a snack, instead of getting frustrated, I thought, he trusts me. This is decompression, not defiance. Jennifer said to her son, buddy, you had to hold it all together today at school, didn't you? I bet that was hard. You can relax here. And the answer about the snack is still no. Jennifer reported that her son looked at her and burst into tears. He said, Mommy, school was hard today. A kid was mean to me at recess and I couldn't do anything about it. Jennifer told me we had a real conversation about his day and his feelings. And it was the first time in months we connected instead of fought. And it felt amazing. Listen, this is the power of understanding what the testing is really asking. I want that for you, and I want that for your kids. Okay, so now that you understand testing equals trust, not failure, you might be asking, but how do I actually respond in the moment when my kid is melting down or pushing back? I got you. I got you. So buckle up. Here we go. Here's the framework. Step 1 might surprise you, but step 1 is, drum roll please, expect it. Stop being surprised when your kid acts differently at home than they do at school. Of course, they're going to be harder at home. You're their safe person. When you expect the after-school decompression, it allows you to stop taking it personally. So that's step 1, expect it. Step 2, connect first. When your kid gets home from school, give them deliberately, intentionally 5 minutes of connection before you start asking them to do things. Move away from, hey, bud, how was school? Great. Now go put your backpack away and start your homework. And instead move into, hey, bud, gosh, I'm so glad you're home. Give me a hug. Are you ready for a snack? Want to tell me about your day? Help their nervous system shift from performance mode to safe mode before you start making demands. Step 3, hold the boundary and validate their feelings. This is the both and, not the but. Both and. I can see you're exhausted from holding it together all day. It makes sense that you're frustrated. And homework still needs to get done before screen time. You're not removing the boundary. You're validating their experience, their performance mode, while you're holding the limit and connecting with them. It's the magic formula, I tell you. And step 4, stay regulated yourself. Now, admittedly, this is the hardest part. When your kid is dysregulated, your nervous system wants to match theirs. You want to escalate. You want to yell back. But here's the thing. Don't. Resist. Your job is to be the steady redwood tree in the storm. We'll talk more about this metaphor in a future episode. Your job is to take deep breaths. Remind yourself this is decompression, not defiance. They're moving out of performance mode and into safe mode. And step 5, remind yourself what this means. In the moment when your kid is melting down, resist falling back into what am I doing wrong? Remind yourself this is secure attachment, living out loud, in real time. My kid trusts me enough to fall apart with me. I'm not failing. I'm their safe person. This internal reframe is a complete game changer for you, for your kids, for their future, and for your relationship. This is the essence of connection. Make sense? Awesome. Okay, here's your homework for this week. Assignment number 1, the reframe practice. This week, when your kid acts out at home, practice saying to yourself, they're not being difficult, they're decompressing with their safe person. And hey, that's me. Maybe you didn't have a safe person growing up. So maybe your brain needs to really understand that you've broken a cycle here and you are their safe person. And I want you to notice how this reframe changes your emotional response. Assignment number 2, after school connection. Before you ask your kid to do anything after school, give them 5 minutes of connection time. No agenda, no demands, just presence, and see what happens. And then assignment number 3, track the pattern. Start noticing when your kid's testing increases. Is it after school? Is it after activities they had to be on? Is it after being in certain play situations with challenging peers? Is it after being with certain adults? Is it after weekends or extended family or after a sporting event where they're trying really hard? Start connecting the dots. The testing probably follows times when they've been in performance mode intensely or for a long period of time. This matters. Once you start connecting the dots, you can begin to actually plan for when your kid is going to move out of performance mode and into safety mode. Yeah? Okay, in closing, here's what I hope you take away from today's episode. Your kid acting their worst with you is not a sign you're doing something wrong. It's a sign you're doing something profoundly right. Your teacher gets to see the performance. The coach gets to see the compliance. You get to see the real kid, the real human, the one who trusts you enough to fall apart, the one who knows you'll still be there even when they're messy. That's the greatest compliment your kid can give you, even though it doesn't feel like one. I get to see Malcolm's messy side all the time. I'm his go-to. And I always remind myself that we're securely attached and connected. It helps me regulate myself when things are especially messy. So the next time your kid is melting down over something small and you're thinking they wouldn't act like this at school, you're right, they wouldn't. Because you're not their teacher, you're their safe person. And that's exactly what they need you to be. Next week, we're bringing everything together with the exact language and scripts you can use to set boundaries while maintaining connection. You're not going to want to miss it, and I'll see you then. Until next time, I'm wishing you peaceful parenting.
Thanks for listening to Real World Peaceful Parenting. If you want more info on how you can transform your parenting, visit thepeacefulparent.com. See you soon.